Hello, hello, and welcome to another podcast episode of Overpowering Emotions, where I talk all things big emotions, emotion regulations, resilience. Today, I am excited to bring on a special guest. We're going to talk about all things I've talked about before, but it's always nice to have a new, fresh perspective, just looking at some of that emotion regulation and connection and the importance of that connection with the adults in kids' lives and teens' lives. So I have Justyna Bronski joining me today. She's a former high school teacher with 15 years of experience, during which she gained unique insights into the minds and hearts of teens. She's now dedicated her life to coaching teens, specializing in helping them navigate overwhelming emotions, building a positive self-image, and fostering meaningful relationships. Justina's also worked as a coach for educators, just helping teachers with strategies to support students. And so she's really, looking at guiding teens to uncover their authentic selves and thriving socially and emotionally. So I hope you enjoy. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's great having you here.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here.
Why don't you introduce yourself to get us started with everyone who's listening?
My name is Justyna Bronski, and I'm a certified life coach with a background in education. I was working for 20 years as a high school math teacher, and then I turned into life coaching, and I've been doing it for the last 3 years. And I really help teens manage their emotions, develop self awareness, positive self image, and also creating meaningful relationship with others.
That's great because we know this generation definitely needs all of those things. Maybe we can start with just talking about maybe some of the challenges that you see the teens of today. I'm sure there's many, but some of the challenges that they are struggling with.
Yes, I feel like there are different categories, right? And we can find a lot of different challenges. But I definitely see challenges with identity and really finding out who they really are. There is also a lot of pressure, a lot of information coming out on them. I feel like there is like information overload. So it's really easy for them to get lost with it. Social media, of course, that's a way of avoiding emotions, and it's the easiest way to do it. So it's just right there for them. And overall, these are the symptoms, right? This is what we see, but the actual challenges are deep in there, rooted inside. And this is where the work needs to begin in order to solve the challenges that they experience right now and what we see right now with teenagers.
Absolutely. And deep within, I think deep within themselves, but also interpersonally in their relationships. And I know, one thing I'd love to maybe talk about is just how they struggle in feeling disconnected. We hear all the time that we're more connected than ever before, but we're actually so disconnected and just feeling maybe invisible in relationships. Wondering if we can talk about that and maybe, what parents can help support their
Absolutely.
kids with too. Yeah.
Yes. A lot of them feel very isolated, even though, like, we see that technology bring us together, but the reality is really make them disconnected. And I believe the disconnect happens internally first. So we become disconnected from who we are, disconnected from our feelings. And if you really don't have like a ground for who you are, it's extremely important, it's extremely difficult to build healthy relationship with others. So that's why I'm so passionate about building the basis for teens so they know what their values are, who they are, how they really listen to, having friendship with themselves, because then everything becomes very easy and clear. You know how to set up boundaries, you know what's for you out there, because we know that not everybody is for us, but it's hard to see it if there are some disconnections inside of them.
Right. And I'll ask about, touching base with that, but I suspect there's just so many pieces. It was easy before social media because really we drew on our identity and our worldviews and our, you know, creation of how we see people in our friendships and things from our family and from teachers and the messages that we got in school. But in social media, there's so much. I was just listening to a podcast the other day with research on some of the behaviors we're seeing from boys because social media is perpetuating these wild, unacceptable, disrespectful, just extreme behaviors. And those are the behaviors that people are seeing, like on social media, and they're becoming influencers and things like this. So I think it just spins out of control a little bit, just in terms of, some of that identity formation. So how do we do that? How do we, get them to befriend themselves and start understanding their values and who they are?
So I believe that it really happens at home, creating families. So I'm really passionate also about, working with moms because, we are the women who are raising the next generation. And a lot of times we bring challenges from previous generation, not being aware of what we bring to our families and really not being able to be present for our teens. And what they need is really being seen, being heard, and being respected. But it's really hard to do it for a person who is struggling with their own wounds, with their own scars. So I really believe that in order to create environment when they feel seen, heard, and respected, I see it as a one unit, really people being invested and really getting to know who they are, what are the triggers, because that definitely will show up during the interactions. And these are the messages. And a lot of times it has nothing to do with your child. It's really something in you that it's being awakened. And that's something that we want to be curious. What is it? Where is it coming from? And kind of like self-exploration. And I notice even on my experience, the more healing work I've done on myself, the more able I am to be present to my kids and really see them for what it is. Because we tend to bring our past to our presence, and that's never really serve our kids, and that doesn't serve us either. So I feel like that work, just awareness of this is the work that we all need to do, because now we need to compete, like you said, with all these social medias that are sending these wrong messages, and they are not even realities, right? But that's what our kids are watching. So the more connection we can give to our kids in our home, the stronger, the stronger skills, and just they feel more connected to who they are, so they are not influenced by things that are happening outside of that.
Right. Yeah. So creating that space. And I think them being able to be themselves without masking and just sort of expressing themselves authentically, sort of so to speak. So I guess just breaking it down for people who are listening. I mean, it's definitely parents. I also have other professionals who would listen. So where do we start? If we were to break it down into concrete steps or strategies, what would that look like?
So definitely building safety in the relationship, and this is there's nothing that can be done, and it's like there's no strategy that will help you if the person doesn't feel safe with you. So that's why it's so important to really focus on that. And this is when it happens when you really are able to, like you said, be yourself, express your emotions, even the big emotions, and really helping teens to, like, when I'm speaking from the point of being a parent, definitely validate your kid emotions. This is number one. Then also acknowledge them. At the end, we want to also make sure that we normalize them. Like anger, it's fine. This is an emotion, right? And not really saying that, oh, you are actually like I don't know, overreacting to situation, or you are too sensitive, because these are the judgments that we really stop teens to communicate with us, not because these emotions disappear, but they don't feel safe with us to express them, to share them. Also, another thing I think it's important to really show them that it's okay to make mistake. We don't have to be perfect. And the best way for us as parents or teachers, because that's my background, it's really show them that it's absolutely okay to make a mistake. This is actually something good to make a mistake, because there is like really you are growing, you are learning, and this is what I was trying to install in my classroom. I was teaching math, and math is usually perceived as a hard subject, and people think it's always like a right or wrong answer, which is not necessarily true, because there's many ways of solving a problem, and it's not only about getting that answer, but the process that you go through. So, if you go through that process, you learn so many things. So you actually are making huge progress, even if you end up with the wrong answer. So really pointing out to that with interaction with the teens, like, observing them and seeing them even struggling or failing, and saying like, wow, I noticed that today you actually, even though we were not able to solve this problem, your approach to it shows so much growth because you behave in this way or that way. Really focusing on that, I think that was my really big strength in my classroom, because I was constantly looking for these positive things that are happening. And really, like, if you really focus on that, it's not only me at some point, it's everybody else as well. And then also, the students, teens are more willing to take a risk. And then, like, really beautiful things can really happen, and how they support each other. So, really creating that environment when they are emotionally supported, when they can be authentic, can be who they are. They have personalities, right? We have different kids with different personalities, and we're not going to have the same interactions with all of them in the same way. We have different needs, so that's important as well. And also, giving that permission to fail. This is how we grow. This is how we build confidence. And that's so important, because that's really empowering. We tend to like jump and trying to rescue them from all the different, experiences, but that doesn't really help them to be confident. That actually really send a message that I don't believe you can do it. You need me to rescue. So definitely being there as a support, as a guide, but giving them the room, the space to really play and really grow in themselves, because that's what we're trying to do, like for them to feel resilient, strong inside, not like getting stuff from outside. I'm not sure if I
Yeah,
answer your question.
yeah, no, I mean, there's so much in there. And so just going back, I mean, to validation, really, the goal is for them to feel heard, that you understood. That's a key piece. And when we're talking about safety, it's not physical safety, it's about I can share whatever I want without fear of you judging me or so it's that sort of non-judgmental positive regard. I'm still going to love you no matter what you're feeling. So I think that those are key pieces. And I like that you said, it's not just about telling them mistakes are okay. It's about creating that environment, just like you said, right? And I loved your examples of how we're showing you, the journey. And I often will bring it back to things that they love and experience like video games. You have never walked into a video game and finished like defeating Bowser or, what the final level is. There are lots of little steps that you go through and lots of mistakes and lots of deaths to be had and new lives to be, regenerated. And you learned every step, until you made it to the next level and the next level. And I think bringing in those examples and then modeling our own mistakes. Oh man, I made a mistake, but this is what I learned, and this is what I'm going to do next. So I think, yeah, there's just so many beautiful pieces of, nuggets in there. I just want to make sure that I kind of highlight that because that's really it, isn't it? And I think just as people, we don't feel heard, we don't feel understood. There's a lot of yeah, buts all the time, or other people's agendas, or well, my stress is bigger than yours, and like, minimizing. And especially I think because parents are stressed and teachers are stressed, and we just say, well, you're just a teenager. You don't have to worry about mortgages and marriages and right? But they do have lots, and so it's just coming around to their perspective and acknowledging, their piece. So I think that that's so important because you're right. There is no other strategy that's going to work if we don't have that strong foundation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's assume then we've got that, and parents or teachers or whoever working with kids have got that strong relationship. They're really good at validating, right? They're creating that space to try and take risks and make mistakes and grow from that. Are there other things that you would recommend for teens once it is more of their own personal sort of skill building, just in terms of their own self-regulation? Is there anything more, or do you think that that would be enough?
Absolutely more. There's more to it. Definitely exploring who they are, but trying new things. I think this is the best way to really find out who they are. Going for something that they may be excited about, but there's this sense of, oh, I'm a little bit scared. These are beautiful places. These are the places when you can actually learn so much about yourself. And not only in terms of that particular thing that you decided to do, but how you navigate through different things. You learn processes that are happening inside of you. We are so different. So there's not like one strategy that will help, all of the teens. So it's extremely important that they gain that awareness of how they really navigate through different things in life. And I noticed also recently that it's so hard for teens to step into that area because we always think that we need to be really great at something in order to try it. But I'm gonna be honest, like from my experience, I've tried so many things that I thought that I'm not good, and I was thriving. And if I didn't try them, I would never know. So it doesn't have to be really at the very beginning, because of course, like when you try something new, it's hard, it's scary, it's challenging, and it just feels so uncomfortable. But once you really go through the first steps, it just feels so, like so empowering, that wow, I was able to do it. And I thought that I will never try it, like trying something that you're excited about, and that will bring so much gold to your life, and the self-awareness that you will have about who you are, and that also will help you to take other advantages, right? Like you're gonna start trying other things, and that's when you really start seeing that you are not just surviving, but you're actually thriving. And that's such an exciting time in your life when you really give yourself permission to go somewhere when you really don't feel 100% comfortable, but you just go for it anyway, even if it doesn't end with success. There's so much that you can learn from failure, and you're gonna realize that that relationship with failure doesn't have to be scary. This is actually super fun, because next time you're gonna have that confidence to try something new, and that's when you really feel like, wow, I'm alive. And this is something that I always encourage my clients, because I'm the person who sees, like I see the gifts that the teens have. I see the beautiful qualities, and sometimes they really don't see that. They really don't see all these beautiful things. And having just one person who can actually see it for you, that's super powerful, and really encouraging, and also empowering. Because if I believe in you, most of them really take on it, and they start believing in themselves as well.
Right. And it is that initial hump to get over, right? That initial,
Hmm.
like the anxiety and the discomfort. And, and
Absolutely.
even like I might be throwing up because I'm so anxious about it. But once you get over it, like I love the analogy of a roller coaster, right? You want to, but you might be scared to. But like I tell my girls, you're always going to regret not trying it. So even if you get on that roller coaster, I mean, on the one hand, it might be like, yes, that was the best thing ever. Let's go again. But you might also get off it and have hated it. And that was
Mhm.
terrible. I never want to do it again. But either way, you don't regret going on, versus if you don't go on, you're going to regret it. Oh, I should have gone on. Oh, I should have gone on. You'd be beating yourself up. So it's just going. And it, like I said, there's different outcomes, right? But at least then and then you can move on to the next thing. And this kind of reminds me, as soon as you said we got to try new things, I really want to do these aerial classes. So it's kind of like circus, like hoops in the sky. And I did trapeze once a long time ago. And I'm just like, I want to do that again. And it just, kids, I think, think that adults have it all sorted out, right? That we're happy, and maybe we're not happy, but like they just think we've got life sorted. But we really go through, as adults, these three huge evolutionary stages. We're not the same people as we go through these. And we know one of the biggest transition in life is from teenagehood into adulthood. So I was just thinking like this is, and my daughter is kind of in that transition right now. She's in university, but she's still in that adolescence time. Maybe doing that journey together. Like, let's go do something. She will absolutely not do anything in the sky, Ariel was, but that's my thing to stretch myself, you know? And so I'm in an evolutionary part of my journey. Doing that with kids, or at least modeling it for them as well, I think that makes all the difference in the world because truly, I think they think we're brave. We don't get so stressed out about things, right? We know exactly what we need to do, and that's not the case even as adults. Like I still haven't figured out adulting. My daughter's freaking out about it. I'm like, I'm close to 50 and still have no idea, right? So I think just kind of, being good role models in that regard too.
And I also believe that when there are two people who are trying something for the first time, that really helps with connection. It's not only child and, a parent, but I also notice that in relationship, we tend to do that with my husband. We tend to take on challenges, like trying something that we have never done before. We learn so much about each other. We learn so much about, ourselves, and it always brings us closer. So having that with a child, I've done it actually with my daughter. We sign up for kickboxing classes, and to me that was terrifying because I never really considered even taking the classes. But my daughter started, and the person who worked at that place suggested, like, "Hey, maybe you want to try." And I knew that's something that's not really for me because I never tried and I was a little bit scared. But I did try, and actually, that was a great lesson for in life for me because I have learned that just because you are really, really bad at something at the beginning, because that was my case, like I really was so self-conscious and I could see that I really don't know what to do with my hands and legs. With time, I was getting so much better and stronger. And then earning my belt was like, wow, I feel like I missed so much in my life because I had opportunities like this in the past, but I wasn't brave enough. I wasn't courageous enough to take these opportunities. So I feel like in my 40s, like you talked about cycles, right? I feel like I'm going through like a next chapter in my life because this is when I really fully embrace all the different things that I didn't allow myself in the past. And again, that's the reason why I'm like so passionate about it because I feel like if I knew all these skills, if I knew all these different things that are available out there when I was younger, my life would, and it's not like I regret anything, but I feel like the peace thriving, I would be more confident and really taking on more in life and just experiencing life more and owning it more. So I can't really go back in the past, but this is my mission. This is what I do with my teens because they're just so wonderful, so beautiful, and they just sometimes need that someone who will remind them of who they truly are and what's in there. And I don't know, I'm good at their cheerleading role. So I see a lot of success with my teens, but that's the part that I really feel like so grateful that, when I see this transformation, when I see really going from one place to completely different energy and, the mindset and the self-image, it's really beautiful. And I love watching that.
Yeah. And then bonus, when we're creating these opportunities and doing different things, they're not on screens and they're not on social media. So that because there are so many more opportunities now than ever before for them to try new things, but
Absolutely.
they're usually at home on their screen. Well, amazing. I know that this is lots to think about. Anything left unsaid that's important to say before we sign off today, or have we covered it all?
I think that when it comes to parents, especially teachers as well, just a like reminder, like teens are not broken, and a lot of times we come from that place that we try to fix them, like, like this is a kind of like problem, let's find solution. It doesn't really work like that. It's just unfolding something that we are not able to see, and that's something inside. It's so beautiful, and so we're taking time to really see, because you're gonna look at the same person, but it's gonna be in a completely different light. So I guess that would be my final message.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. I will have all of your information in the show notes, but for the people who are listening right now, where's the very best place to reach you if people want to look you up?
If you want to look at my website, that would be justinabronski.com. There's a way to contact me there, and I think that would be the best place to start.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for being on the show today, Justyna.
You're very welcome.